All right, what's up? It's Jonathan. Actually doing one of my first Zoom videos I've actually done before. And, I think right now in the current state of affairs, we are starting to kind of see, an influx of so much information via the internet, media, social media, text messages, your neighbor about what's kind of going on in the mortgage market. And so I really wanted to kind of get more granular and talk to somebody and bring somebody on and ask a lot of questions about, what's going on with our current market here in the DC metro area. So I have Hillary with Main Street Mortgage. Say hi.
Hello.
Being on Zoom video is weird for all of us. Hillary and I both do a lot of videos. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I know Hillary's on TikTok.
You know it.
All that is pretty cool. But, right now I think that there's just really a lot of uneasiness. We're seeing the news happen on a daily basis where the market, as far as the Dow Jones and S&P are kind of like a roller coaster. Hillary, like in regards to like the current mortgage holder, and if somebody has a current mortgage, how are some of these programs that the federal government that's rolled out how is that affecting some current homeowners, and what are the options that they have?
Sure. So a lot of the news that's coming out, what I would warn everyone about, that this is all day by day, in some cases hour by hour. So when the news first came out that there was going to be relief to homeowners who have mortgage payments, the calls that immediately I started getting was, oh, I have a mortgage. Do I not have to make my payments? So the first thing that I would say is, if you have a mortgage and you can make your payments, make your payments. Whoever you are making your mortgage payment to, we call that your servicer. So if it is the case that the coronavirus has impacted your job, your finances, right now, don't waste more time. Reach out to your servicer and see what solutions they are providing, backed by the government. So for the most case, what we're most often seeing is that if you are able to defer your payments, so there's not really loan forgiveness out there. It's more so a period of time, a set amount of months, that instead of needing to pay it now, and maybe you're not bringing in the income that you're used to, they're just tacking it on to the end of your loan term.
Right. Which makes sense. I mean, it would be great if they were just like, hey, you know what? You don't have to make no mortgage payments for 3 months, but as long as a lender is allowing to have it tacked onto the end to maybe save a homeowner from being 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, ruining their credit standing. I think that's great. It's wonderful that it's a blanket program. From what I understand, that any homeowner, it doesn't matter what your current financial position is, a little bit different than 2008. Is able to, quote unquote, maybe qualify. Again, you'd have to talk to your lender specific. I know that right now they're, at least in the last few months, the federal government has dropped the Fed interest rate. I don't know. I know from a real estate standpoint, I'll talk to friends and clients, and they, obviously that the first assumption is that, oh my gosh, that means interest rates are dropping. Can you maybe talk about what the Fed interest rate is and how that kind of correlates with mortgage rates and, all that good stuff?
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely a call that, especially 3 weeks ago, maybe when the Fed made that announcement about cutting rates, is something that automatically, as you said, overnight, everyone's like, does that mean my mortgage is free, right? Or from buying a new home, or mortgage interest rates now zero. So, when we're talking about rates on the news, when they're talking about the Fed rate, that's tied to short-term lending. So it's the cost for banks to borrow money overnight. So there are some advantages to that. If you have a credit card that you're paying interest on, for example, more likely you may see those interest rates start to go down a bit. When we are talking about traditional mortgage interest rates, we're usually looking at 15-year, 20-year, 30-year terms. It's long-term interest. So in some ways, long-term mortgages are tied to what the Fed is doing. We always say mortgages love negative information. As there are bad things going on in the economy, people such as you and I, or anyone, investors, they're usually pulling their money out of riskier assets such as the stock market and flooding their money into what we traditionally call safer assets, such as these mortgage-backed securities. So when the Fed is cutting rate, that's giving us some insight that the economy is probably not doing so well, which is making us feel that, oh, maybe that means mortgage interest rates are going to get better. What I'm warning everyone right now, and again, this is day by day, things are always changing.
Right.
We've kind of hit a time, sadly, that things are so bad and so uncertain that the Fed cutting rates, it's not really helping us. It's not really helping those long-term mortgage interest rates. We're kind of just day by day saying, okay, can people pay their mortgage? Because if they can't, now banks, lenders, we're facing major liquidity issues. And so we can't give away, mortgages for free because we need to keep our doors open as well. But overall, and you can speak on this as well, seeing at the closing table what kind of interest rates your clients are getting, historically speaking, it's still an amazing time to take out a mortgage and to explore refinance, things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I think that, being at the closing table, now the closing table is 6 feet apart when you do sign, or maybe outside. Yeah, I mean, from an historical standpoint, even going back a year and a half, you're talking on a 30-year mortgage, just from me personally, the difference is a percent. So, it's almost like going to a casino. At some point in time, you're going to have to just cash in your chips, and, taking advantage of it. Certainly is something that everybody would really want to do, whether it's a purchase or a refi. That's really great information, that you kind of hit on with, the Fed and how that kind of correlates to mortgages. I think, again, that's something I don't know that everybody quite really understands. I know that there's a lot of people right now that are in the midst of a refinance or in the midst of a purchase. Can you maybe talk about what is, if any, if there are restrictions happening with purchases or refis, or if there's a delay? Because, obviously you're not in your office. I'm not in my office, in my home office. So everyone's trying to do it, through, other mediums. Is there just a delay? How are things getting funded? How is that kind of process going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as far as my company, Main Street Home Loans, and really all, especially the local companies, but even the big banks out there, what I think is really inspiring, honestly, is that it's kind of showing how this whole situation is kind of showing how important real estate is, not just to myself and my coworkers, but really the entire community. So we've all really banded together here to make sure people can still buy homes. At my company, we are prioritizing purchases over refinances. So refinances, we have longer interest rate locks for, to make sure that the purchases can close quickly, sometimes sooner than the closing date on the contract, just because there are more parties being affected, right? So overall, when we're talking about delays, we all know people are not as productive necessarily when working from home, but we do have all hands on deck. And this is speaking on behalf of mortgage companies, the great realtors I work with, title companies. Everyone's putting in long hours to make sure people can still get into homes. I would say where we're seeing some of the longer delays are appraisals. So when you're buying a home, as you're familiar with, when you're buying a home, there's going to be, and taking out a mortgage, there's going to be a licensed professional that goes to the property that you're buying, compares it to other similar homes, and comes up with a value for that property to ensure that you as a buyer aren't overpaying for a home. Part of the appraiser's job is to go into the property and take a look around, right? See the updates, make sure there's no holes in the wall, and the home's intact as the listing presents. We are getting more and more leniency there, and a lot of it is going to be up to the buyer if they're comfortable with that. If they're nervous about the value, which you, for example, as a realtor would advise the client on that, then we probably want that full appraisal still. But there are more guidelines being put into place where maybe the appraiser just goes to the home, takes a look on the outside, maybe even the homeowner can show them a video of the inside to make sure that everything, again, is working. But it is nice, we're getting more leniency in places that we were seeing cause most of the delays. So that's a relief. The other thing is title work, we've noticed, is taking a little bit longer. But that being said, you go under contract, the lender, we're ordering appraisals, we're ordering title work day one. We're very much so able to close a purchase within 30 days still.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so 30 days, that's pretty amazing, considering the current climate. And, just for anybody that's out there, appraisers aren't going to really care that you haven't made your bed in 2 weeks or that you got toys everywhere. They don't really care. We're all hands on deck, so if you went to my downstairs, it's a makeshift office for my daughter. So I think that, those aren't things that appraisers really care about. So, like Hillary was saying, there are a lot of alternatives, with video. This is video with, getting a little bit more creative and out of the box. But 30 days is pretty remarkable, given the current state and given just in general, because it's been a very strong buyer's market for, the last few years, due to lack of inventory. So people are jumping on it, which is really refreshing to hear. Lastly, and, I'll let you go. If there's like one or two different tips that maybe you could give a potential buyer, maybe they're in a rent situation where they have to move, or, they are beginning the process of buying a home. Are there things that maybe they should be thinking about today to better equip themselves to make the process as easy as possible? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is connecting with a local lender and a fantastic realtor like Jonathan is going to be super important, more important than ever. So now is not the time that you can be out just like looking at open houses. There, for the most part, are no open houses. So make sure you're connecting, make sure you're getting your paperwork done. This is a great time to prepare. So if you have the goal of purchasing a home in 2020 or in the future, now's a great time to get started, get everything lined up, ready to go. Another thing is what I'm suggesting that everyone do is focus on having some reserves. I think if this has taught us anything is that no one knows what the future is going to hold for us. I don't mean to be gloom and doom there, but when you're buying a home, there are, for example, first-time home buyer programs out there that can get you into a home without any money down, but that doesn't mean that you perhaps should be going into a home without a little bit of a safety net. So I would say use this time when we're not out spending money at events and restaurants, sadly, and pocket that money, save up, and that way, when you're ready to take that next step and get yourself in a home, you will have that nest egg to rely on should something change at work or anything like that.
Right. Those are great points. I think, if you have the bandwidth and the time, depending upon what your work schedule is, or, if you've got kids, just getting paperwork together, being very front end focused. So if you do see that home is going to put you in a best position possible, I'd like to wrap up and just say that, the real estate community in general is a very tight knit community. Title companies, loan officers, realtors, we all might work for different clients. We might work for different companies, but, together, our whole goal is that we understand that, owning a home and moving is not something that you don't move because you have to. Usually you move you don't move because you want to, you move because you have to. You've outgrown a place, your lease is up, whatever it is. And it's just stressful. There's really no bones about it. And then, you put some whipped cream of what we're having on top and a cherry, and it really can, raise the anxiety that you have inside. So yeah, continue to just try to, be as proactive as possible. Talk to your agent, talk to your loan officer about different programs, get your paperwork together, stay safe more than anything else. And, yeah, Hillary, I really appreciate all your time today. And where can you be reached? Obviously, we'll put all of your info at the bottom of this video, but if we have some people that have made it to the end of the video, what's the best way to reach you phone number wise?
Easiest way is my cell phone, and I usually scare people off in the DMV because I have a 917 area code, but my cell number is 917-685-5437. Call, text, anytime.
She's a Yankee fan, but
I am.
There's a World Series that happened here, so we'll let it go. So
we can't talk about that.
Thank you so much for your time, Hillary. Stay safe.
Thank you, Jonathan. You too. Bye.